Plant Powered Peddler, and I am going to bring on Jennifer, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. So let me get this started here. And she's waving.
Here you are.
Hey, good morning. How are you? I'm going to fix my hair.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jennifer Diamond from thejenniferdiamond.com, and I'm on YouTube, and we are friends.
Yes. And I asked Jennifer if she'd come on and tell us a little bit of herself, and then tell us about her trip to Chicago and what she took with her, how she ate.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, yeah, I recently was on a trip and it got extended without a plan. But I had a plan for food, and that's what I wanted to share. So, I don't have the bag in front of me, but I have found that having a special travel bag, for me, it's an insulated bag that looks like a purse, and that is like my go to. And as long as I have that with the right foods in it, I seem to be able to do anything. And so we went on an airplane, we were in a hotel, we were without a car, we were in other people's car, we were at restaurants, so all these different things. And I was able to be successful. And so how I did that was just bringing enough food to sustain myself. And I actually brought a lot from Arizona, where we reside, and it lasted. I mean, on my return flight finally to come home 2 weeks later, I had a couple carrots and they were still good. And, you just add in as you go. So, what else could I tell you?
Well, first, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to whole food, plant food, and um, yeah, let us know who you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I am somebody that's healing. I've been healing for a very long time. I've always been interested in food and nutrition and like best kind of health and exercise, all that stuff. But I am somebody that's been transitioning for many years. I gave up meat, like red meat, gosh, probably over 20 years ago. But my story regarding food is not linear. It's very much up and down. I have 3 adult children. I'm a nana. I have 4 grandbabies and a wonderful husband and a dog. And so there's a lot of different dynamics in our home currently. But what I do now is through my healing, I got so excited when things started to heal, and I got rid of all my medications, and I dropped about just under 40 pounds, I think 37 pounds. I didn't even know that was going to happen. Bonus. Got rid of inflammation, got rid of small fiber neuropathy, which I had through vaccine injury, sinus, chronic sinus, all kinds of stuff all went away. And so through eating whole food, plant-based lifestyle, no salt, oil, sugar, flour, alcohol. And you know what? There's a lot to eat when you take those things away. And so for me, I wanted to just share this for people that maybe don't know that there's another way. Western medicine for me was good for some things, but as a last result, not to keep me healthy and on the right track. And so I became a certified plant-based nutrition coach. I have a YouTube channel where I share what I do and how I do it. I have an Instagram where I post pictures, and I have a web page, and it's all uh, thejenniferdiamond.com, the Jennifer Diamond at YouTube. But my Instagram is diamondgirl369, and that's a little bit about me.
That's great, Jennifer. So let's start with you had to get to the plane and ride on the plane. Tell us what you took with you. What did you pack? What did you eat on the plane? how did you sustain yourself and not be tempted by the airport food and the smells and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I find that when I'm leaving my home and I'm going to start a trip, that I'm more equipped, right? Because I have access to grocery stores, my car, the refrigerator, leftovers, all those things. And so I also like to make sure that I have a water bottle. Now, going through, security at an airport, you can't bring water or liquid, but I have a clearly filtered water bottle that has a filter inside of it. So I bring it empty in that duffel bag I'm talking to you about. And when I get to the other side, I fill it with water and it goes through a filter. And I pretty much fill that thing throughout the whole trip. But what I brought this time was I actually made some raw food romance wraps. If you're not familiar with Lissa, she has a wonderful channel and she teaches how to make these wraps, and they are like bread. And so I had made a bunch of those, and I carried them, and then I had cut up carrots and cucumber and a big baggie full of salad, just lettuce. And then I take a lemon and I cut it in half, or I cut it into quarters, and I throw it in the bag. And that's my dressing,
That way
because
the
I,
airport can't throw it away.
right, it's a solid thing. And then when I'm ready, I just reach in the bag and I squeeze it on there. You can also do that with avocado. Um, I like to, travel. If I'm going to travel with tomatoes, well, I don't want to cut them up and have them get all, wet and everything. So I bring the little cherry tomatoes because they hold better, and
Mm-hmm.
they're easy to pop in your mouth or to throw on a salad. And then I sometimes, often I bring potatoes. So because I don't know how long it's going to be. You never know about delays and those kinds of things. And with
Right.
potatoes, for me, that's a nice filler and satiating. So I have potatoes, and then I like to bring something called Benson's Table Tasty. It's a no salt substitute, and I can sprinkle that on anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so lots of fruit, fresh fruit. I've even done cut up watermelon if it's the right season. And if I'm going to bring an orange and I plan to eat it on the plane, I'll peel it at home and have it separated so that it's easier to eat. I find that trying to peel it and those little seats on the airplane and having the juice smell, and I don't want to draw attention to myself, unless I'm trying to sell my orange for $50. No.
They do
But
really get fragrant on the plane. It
yeah,
really, yeah, people are like, I want an orange.
right. Yes. In
Yeah.
fact, that happened to me one time where I had strawberries and the lady next to me was looking at them and said, "Oh, those smell so good." And I said, "Well, would you like one?" And she did. She had one. So, and then I do bring other things that will last. Like I like some dried fruit or nuts and seeds.
Mhm.
And so, depending on what you're eating and what works for you, you can kind of figure out those kinds of things that last longer. And then the only real processed thing that I do like to bring on an airplane is something called a well-being bar.
Oh, yeah.
And I find that well-being bars are really good for me as like alas, I'm in trouble, not trouble, but oh, I'm running out of things or I'm hungry. And they're made with beans, a half a cup of beans, and they don't have anything, funky weirdness in them, dates and sunflower seeds and all that kind of stuff. So I will bring those on the plane as well.
Well, like you said, in case the plane gets delayed and you're much longer than you thought you were going to be, they'd sure come in handy.
Yes.
So,
Um, yes, and they fit anywhere. Oh, another thing that I do is I like to put my fresh fruit, even an apple, right? Or a banana. I like to put my apple in a Ziploc bag or in a container because I get pulled over a lot at, security. They'll say, "Who has the banana in their bag?" I do. And I have learned early on that if I just have fruit in there, they go in your bag with those gloved hands that you don't know what they've been touching, and I don't want them to touch directly on the peel of the skin of my food. But if it's in a baggie, they won't open it. They'll just take it out. And so that's something that I find, a container, if you're not into plastic, something where it can be seen, you could see through it, and they won't directly touch it.
Mona's here saying hello.
Oh, hey. Hello, Mona. Hello. Good to have you.
Cabrino is here. I don't know who that is.
Hi.
Kbreen. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if, if somebody she knows, but maybe you're somebody we haven't met yet. So hello.
Yes. Hello and welcome. I'm trying to see if I could see it. I don't, I see it, but not the same. Anyways,
Okay.
yeah. So the only other thing that I would say is on the return. I mean, there's so much to
Uh,
say, but on the return, I sometimes will see if I could get something. If I don't get a chance to go to the grocery store, if I don't have access to get there before I go to the airport, I have found in some airports that they sell a vegan or like a veggie sushi where it's
oh,
rice, carrots, cucumber, avocado wrapped in a nori and with the rice. I will eat that in a if there's nothing else. But even coming home this time, I thought I didn't have enough food and we weren't going to go to the store. And you know what? I ended up filling my bag with food I didn't think I had enough of, and it lasted all the way. And so it might seem like you have odds and ends. Keep all your odds and ends. Throw it out if it goes bad. If it doesn't go bad, keep it. You just never know when you're like, oh my gosh, I have this half eaten apple. Because I've done that.
and then you wish you had it. If you do throw it out and you don't have it, then you wish you did.
Yeah. And so I do, I keep all of those little things. And when you add it up together, it could be a meal. It could be what helps you in a pinch.
Mona wants to know if we're talking about the cruise trip. We haven't talked about that yet, Mona. We're just talking about Jennifer's trip to Chicago and what she took with her because, my thing, the bundle's coming up in March, the first week in March, and my stuff is about travel. So my topics are going to be about travel, and that would be a good one, Mona. We'll have to talk about that one, Jennifer.
Yeah,
But
that
right now,
sounds great.
hmm and then okay, so you were fine on the plane trip, and then another thing I find is when you get somewhere, if you've run out of food because you've had it on, during the trip, now what do you do? Because you're going to head for you headed for a hotel, right?
Yeah, so we didn't go directly from home to Chicago. We went
Oh,
to Georgia and then Texas, and then we were supposed to come home. We ended up going to Chicago not knowing. So
oh,
that
that's
wasn't,
right.
yeah, that wasn't planned at all. Whereas sometimes when you have a plan, it's better. But even if you don't have a plan, it'll work. And so what I find personally is that I pack so much food I hardly ever don't have any when I get to my destination. Um, but which I like to do because sometimes I'm tired and I don't want to go to the store unless it's on the way. Like you and I have traveled before and we have
hmm
stopped in like we had what did we have, a Lyft or an Uber, and on the way
hmm
to our hotel we stopped at a grocery store. Just a little bit of planning, you get what you need and then you finish the trip. But in this case, I had enough food. And my husband, however, um, he chose to eat differently. And so even though we had enough, I can't remember what he did, but at any rate, what we did do is we went to a grocery store when we need to.
hmm
And if we need to take an Uber or a Lyft because we don't have transportation, we could have walked. It was a few miles, but the weather, oh my gosh, it was so cold
Cool.
and there were flurries of snow and we couldn't do it. So,
Well, and people might not know you're a desert girl, so that would have been very a huge switch from where you are to where you had to go in Georgia. That's right, Georgia. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So,
go ahead.
well, I was just going to say you were at a big family event, and so a lot of the meals were eating out. So tell us how you handled eating out.
Yeah, so a lot of meals were eating out or at the event catered, already catered, and you get picked up by the shuttle and you are dropped off. So I did work with the family member that was in charge of it ahead of time, and she let me know about restaurants that were either right next door if it was in a restaurant, and I checked the menu ahead of time. I wrote out possibilities of what I could get. I called the restaurant. I spoke with them. I asked them things like, can you steam the broccoli instead of stir frying it in oil? You know, can you just get plain steamed broccoli? How do you cook your rice? And is that, finding out what they can and cannot do. And at the end of the day, I had some things that I ordered, that I could order, but I brought my food. So the very first night that we got off the plane, we checked in the hotel, and then they said, "Hey, you're here. Join us for a small gathering at this Italian restaurant where they have cheese and sauce and real heavy foods."
Yeah.
And I said, "Absolutely yes." And I checked the menu. I already knew it wasn't going to work for me. And I brought my food in that duffel bag that I keep talking about. I love that thing. And they knew, And what I do is I always say to the waiter or waitress, "Can I have a plate?" I'll just order a plate. It could be, they might sometimes think I'm going to share what my husband's having. Because if I'm in a group, I'm usually not in a restaurant by myself. So if I'm in a group, it's easy to say, "May I have a plate?" And then I just wait for everybody to get served. And I keep my bag on the floor next to me and I unzip it. I take my container out. I dump my lettuce out. I dump my beans out. I dump my fruit. Whatever it is I had. I think I brought sprouts, lentil sprouts that I had sprouted. And I get a lot of people looking at my food saying, "Ooh, that looks good." Or, "Where did you get that?" Maybe not that time, but throughout the trip. And I just say,
Mhm.
"I brought it from Arizona."
That's awesome. But does
And
anybody
I'm
complain or?
no, nobody complains. And
Mhm.
I do know that can happen with people. People ask questions. They're curious. They want to
Mhm.
know. People tell me, "Oh my gosh, I could never do that." Okay. I don't, the idea for me to engage or to be in that place in the first place is because I don't see these people and they're my family and I want to engage in having a conversation and spending time with them. For me,
Yeah.
it's not about what's on the menu. It's not about what's eating. Frankly, if I just didn't have anything with me, I could get water with lemon. I could get a
Mhm.
side plain salad, or I could get some fresh fruit if they have it. If they don't, that's okay. I can eat after, I can eat before. It's not about eating. And other people can be uncomfortable with that. And I
Ah.
just try to let them know that, you know, if you're interested, I can recommend some movies or we could talk about it another time. But right now, I really would just want to hang out with you. Now, last thing I want to share is there were some young family members, teenager, a 13-year-old, and she was asking a lot of questions. And so I wanted to answer her questions without getting crazy about it. She just said, "Why don't you eat this?" What she was eating, I
Mhm.
don't remember. Why? What happens to you? So I would talk to her about that because she was curious.
Mhm.
But I try to make it fun and simple and not judgy. And we're all here together doing the best we can.
Did you say anything to the waitress, or did the waitress say anything to you, or did she even notice? I mean, you asked for the plate. Did she just bring
Sometimes
you?
Yeah. So, in the past, I used to write out a thing and show them and call ahead. I don't do all of that.
Hmm.
Frankly, I didn't even know I was going to this restaurant. So sometimes what I might do in a lighthearted way, if I think I might order something, I might say to them, I'm the problem child. I'm going to have all the questions. I hope you don't
Yeah.
mind. I have a lot of food allergies or issues, and, let me know when you're ready for that. So they kind of know ahead of time, okay. And you know what? I'm always greeted with wonderful kindness. And I notice that the waiters and waitresses that I've dealt with, if I am very upfront about specifically what I need and I'm looking for, they're happy to bring it. They
Uh,
don't need my life story.
yeah.
They don't need to know about my allergies, about whatever. They need to know this, yes, this, know this, yes, this.
I mean, as far as what you can eat and what you can't eat, or
Right. So if I'm somewhere where I'm going to try to order, I'll say this salad has uh, stir fried in oil asparagus. I can't have the oil. May I exchange it for broccoli? Or tell me what other things that you have. And they'll say, yes, sure. Okay. Can you either leave it raw or can you steam it with water only, plain nothing? No oil. And I have to not assume that they understand what nothing means. I
yeah,
have to say what it is. No salt, no oil, no sugar, no nothing, just the broccoli.
yeah.
And then they go, okay. And then when it comes, I ask again, was this made, without these things?
Hmm.
And if I taste and it doesn't seem right, I I think I would just say, what, can you just, I'm so sorry, this didn't come out the right way. Can you just bring me like some raw broccoli instead? You know,
Uh-huh.
so I don't
So
want
with
to
this
be like, yeah, go
with
ahead.
this situation, what exactly did you do? Because it was a, impromptu. You didn't even know you were going there. You didn't have a chance to even think about asking anybody anything. So just tell us how did
Yeah.
you approach it?
So we sat down. It was a table of 11 and everybody went around. And when they came to me, I just said, can I have, for drinks, I said, can I have water? Can I have fresh lemon? And then they came around again for ordering. And I said, can I just get an empty plate? And nobody said anything.
And the waitress was fine.
Totally fine.
That's
And
so
I
cool.
dumped my food out. Now, I have on occasion, not this time, but I have once or twice had somebody say something to me.
Like,
Uh, like, you can't bring food in here.
okay. So then what? Then you go out to the car, or
No, for that particular situation, it was a vegan restaurant. And this was not on this trip. This is something I'm just remembering. And I had said to them, well, I called and spoke with whoever the person's name was, manager. I tried to order, but you don't have anything that I can eat. If you had something I could eat, I would order it. And if you'd like to charge me for the rental of the plate, I'm happy to pay. And I always tip them because I don't want them to think I'm taking their space to make money. And
Mhm.
the person said, oh, well, what is it? And I said, I can't have oil, I can't have this. And what I brought is, the Whole Foods. And she said, oh, you're eating cleaner than we serve. It's fine. I'm concerned because some people try to bring meat into our vegan restaurant. And I
Yeah,
said,
got
oh,
it.
that's not me.
It's so cool. Do you think the restaurants are getting better at the fact that, we all can't tolerate the kinds of food that they serve? And, just being more open about letting us bring things in and substitute things. And, because I mean, there were some places that I've seen that they don't allow any substitutions, and they don't want you to bring food in. And I mean, that's where, like you say, calling ahead of time, I suppose, could be really helpful. But like what happened to you here? You could, it was impromptu, so
Right.
it was just a spontaneous harmonious
Yeah.
thing.
And
But like you,
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, like you were saying, you do have food with you. So, if worse came to worse, you could go outside, and if you didn't have a car there, somebody who did have a car that you were in the group with maybe would let you have their car to sit in and wait. I mean, I've done that where I was at a funeral service, and they were talking. After the funeral, then they had a reception downstairs, and they were talking and talking and talking and talking, and my food was in the car, and they were all eating. It was all this big spread of food and everything, and I was getting hungrier and hungry, and I finally just said, I'm going to go to the car. And it was somebody else's car that I had ridden there in. And so I went to the car and ate, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I had brought food to have. So.
Yeah, and I have done that too. I do want to mention, do I think it's getting better, you asked. Well, I do think it's getting better. And the reason why is because there are so many people now where they have gluten sensitivities, they're vegan, they're vegetarian, they're allergic to
Mhm.
peanuts, all kinds of stuff. And even on menus, sometimes they have symbols now that'll say this one is vegan and gluten, or this one, and then, but I have to dive deeper because there's still things usually in there that I'm not partaking in. And
Mhm.
so I think because of that, there's a lot of more awareness,
Mhm.
and I think people are more understanding. Sometimes you can even ask, do you offer a separate menu? I have found that sometimes they have a separate menu that you have to ask for that's like a gluten-free menu or a vegan-only menu. And
Oh.
you can inquire if you
Mhm.
don't see anything on the original menu. Um, Now, not having a car, and if I am in a place where I like part of the event that we were in, they catered, and I would go outside and eat it if I needed to. It was cold. But or ahead of time I try to have a little something in the hotel right before, even if it's just an apple or some veggies of some, red bell
Mhm.
pepper travels great, you know
Yeah.
and those little peppers, the different colored ones,
Mhm.
those I love those, and so you can do avocado, smash it up, and you can create all kinds of things, but make sure to take care of yourself, because nobody else is going to remember or care about truly what you ingested and what's going to happen. What could happen, like what happens to me, is there was a time when I was first transitioning. I remember if I had something that was not really good and my body wasn't used to it, I would suffer
Mhm.
all through the night. You have, acid reflux, you have a stomach ache, and nobody else is thinking about it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Good point.
a little bit of planning, and then it's not really hard. It's not a plan anymore. It just becomes what you do, like brushing your teeth. You know, I just bring my food.
Couldn't agree more. So do you want to tell us about any of the, were there any specific situations? Because you went out a lot of meals and joined a lot of family events. I mean, how many days was it over?
So it was 9 days, and then we had an extended, uh, an extended 5 days. We were gone, I think, 13 or 14 days, so almost 2 weeks. And yeah, 9 days, and then an extended 4 days that we weren't planning on. Um, and even the end in Chicago, I was in the hospital. My dad passed, and so we were in the hospital. Like we went from this party, so we needed to eat something at the hospital, and
Mhm.
they didn't have a cafeteria. They actually had a Panera Bread. Okay, and so, and you don't go up to someone anymore. Like you do it on a screen next to the guy next, and then they give you the food. So I was I did not have a lot of food with me, like a meal's worth, and so I was able to order at Panera Bread a salad. And I already had other stuff in my bag to add to it, but I was missing the lettuce.
Ah.
So I just had it. remove this, remove that, remove this. And then there were a lot of things like additional add-ons. And so I was able to add avocado. I was able to add, um, uh, what else was I able to add? Some, I think radish. There were some different things that I could add on. And it says you're allowed to add 5. Well, I was going down trying to add 8 or 10, and then it was blocking me. You can only add 5. And I'm like, oh gosh, I have to swap out. So then I based it on what did I eat earlier today? I already had, this vegetable, so I'll have that one because the more diverse that we eat, the more different nutrients and the more benefit we get. And so I would think of it in that form. And then again, do you have any lemon? And that's my dressing when I go. It's simple. And if they don't have any lemon, then I find to eat it just how it is.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so that worked out.
So nothing else jumps out at you?
Um, I just think that people are curious, and for me, I don't make it about them. I'm not trying to change somebody. I'm worried about or concerned about what I'm doing. And if anyone is interested, I'm happy to share. We're all
Hmm.
on our own journey. And
Hmm.
I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. There are people that feel uncomfortable, like they're ordering ice cream. Why don't you order ice cream? Why? Can taste it. This, they push it. And I just, have learned that for me, I can have a version of ice cream. It's called nice cream. And I recently just had some, so I'm okay. And I also have told people in a restaurant, I am comfortable. I am okay not having food in front of me and sitting with you. Please let me know if you're not comfortable because I
Uh-huh.
want you to feel comfortable and I don't want you to worry about me feeling uncomfortable. I'm not missing out. This is what works for me. And I miss you and then I'll just bring up something like a question about them. I heard you recently went on a trip or you just saw your child. Tell me about that and it kind of redirected a little bit and then they seem to calm down and feel better
Hmm.
and just know whatever you want to do it can work.
This is great information, Jennifer, because, being a traveler, I rarely ever eat in a restaurant, but when I do, everything that you're saying is just so appropriate, I think. And it works.
Yeah, I'll tell you one last thing. Believe it or not, we went to Cheesecake Factory. That's a chain all over the place out here in the US. And Cheesecake Factory, they work with lots of calories and lots of stuff that I don't eat. And even there, I was able to figure out a salad that was compliant with lemon. I ordered some steamed broccoli on the side. And they do not have baked potatoes, but they
Mm-hmm.
do have rice. They have white rice and brown rice. Do you know their white rice has something in it? I can't remember if it was sugar or salt. I think it's
Oh,
sugar.
uh-huh.
But the brown rice is just made with water.
That's
So
amazing. They have brown rice. That's
yeah, so what I'm saying is wherever you go, dig a little deeper if you have to figure something out.
hmm
So if maybe I wanted white rice, well, oh, you cook it that way. So I say, do you have any other rice? How do you cook that one? Don't assume everything is made the same way. Keep asking the questions and then they'll sometimes say, I don't know. Let me go check. And I've even had a waiter come back and say, I didn't know. I thought it was plain.
hmm.
Or if they say, I think it's just made with water. Well, I think for me is not good enough. Is it okay if you check for me? And they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, I was wrong. I didn't know it. We put sugar in our rice. I just learned something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but most of the time I carry my own food.
I find that too, that a lot of times the servers, the young people especially, they don't know and they just tell you what you want to hear. So I was in a restaurant on a bike tour and, I hadn't eaten out the whole tour. And then they said, it's just oatmeal for breakfast. So But you know, they'll put stuff in oatmeal too. And then the plant milk they had was soy milk. And I said, is there anything in the soy milk? And he said, no, it's just, I said, anything other than beans and water. And he said, no. And I said, can I see the container? And he brought me out the container, and it had all kinds of stuff in it. And so I showed him, and he goes, oh, I didn't know that, you know. So
Yeah.
they'll just say, yeah, oh, yeah, that's all it has, or, oh, there's nothing in the oatmeal.
Well,
So I just went back to my room.
yeah, you know what? And that's really a good point because they're unaware and maybe they just see the front of the cover that says soy milk and
Healthy.
healthy, right? And you know, you're making me think of our hotel room came with breakfast. So what can I do? And then we went straight to a shuttle and we went to these events. So um, went down there and assessed it, and there were bananas for me to have and
Oh,
oranges. They had apples. I didn't want their apples because I had my own apples still, and they were not organic apples. If I didn't have it, of course, I would, you know, do my best um, to eat it, maybe peel the skin, but whatever works. Now, they had oatmeal. She said it was made
mm,
with water. Okay. And then they had a section where there was like a spoonful where you could take a spoon of like 4 blueberries. So I thought, well, that's great. I went to the kitchen, you know, wherever they're bringing the food out, and I asked one of the people, "Do you?" And well, I'll bring one of their coffee cups, you know, because they have coffee or tea. Do you have enough? Can you fill my cup with the blueberries? Because that's all I'm going to eat because I'm actually going to add it to what I have. And if they have it, they will give it to you.
mm-hmm.
So don't think, oh, I can only have 3 blueberries because it's here. Dig, ask the question. So you just reminded me of that.
That reminds me too of a hotel I was in, and they got us a whole bunch of berries when they realized that's all that we were eating from their breakfast bar. Yeah, that can be unusual because in the hotels, you know, no, we don't have any, or they'll have, you know, they'll put out 5 bananas, and when those 5 bananas are gone, that's it. So
Right.
that was really
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been so fun. I appreciate you having me on. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to chat about.
I just want to do more for the bundle because, you know, this is the first year I'm in the bundle. I've purchased 2 other bundles before now, and it's just so much fun meeting everybody, and I've been, you know, playing with other people's recipes, and I'm just really excited about it. So let's just do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to say this is also my first time in the bundle. And I am also enjoying learning. It's a great experience. And, you know, stay tuned. You're going to learn so much about the bundle. It's amazing what can be offered and what is offered in it, not just what you or I have added to it, but there are so many wonderful things in it. And it's just a, you know, a great price. So,
Yes. Soon we'll go into more detail.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with me this morning, Jennifer.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and I hope that the information that I shared and that you shared helps somebody and, you
Me
know,
too.
just supports others. Thank you so much. I send you a big
Yeah.
hug.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, Mona. Mona's got to go
Oh,
too.
bye,
So off we
Mona.
go.
Thanks for hanging out. Take care. Bye, Janet.
Bye bye.